Why, hello there, A Knife's Tale. Today I'm bringing you a summary of a knife I've done a full review on. The full review will be linked down in the description, but more importantly than any of that is I hope you're having a good day. And should you, like this shorter content or any of my content, or want to check out the other content, just consider liking and subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it and greatly help the channel. That's not the important part. The important part is having a good day. Let's get to the knife, shall we? This is the VDK Knives Vice, which is a little bit dry inside, apparently. I put it in a, just touching the nano oil. Get the tiniest bit of nano oil. Come on. There we go. That's too much, but whatever. It's fine. There we go. Nice, super controlled drop shot. I don't know what the heck dried it out. Maybe what I kept it in was, odd. I don't know. But that's what it was been doing the entire time. So, this is a pretty large knife. It's got a 4-inch blade. It is this. I don't usually do specs in here, but I'll just talk about it because it's relatively important. 4-inch blade, 8 3/4 overall. Not terrible ratios. It's a reasonably thick titanium. It's kind of a frame lock with an overlay of carbon fiber, so frame lock / attempted liner lock. Titanium backspacer, titanium mill clip. It is on bearings. You can kind of tell that now that the action is not super dry. M390 blade steel in this sort of hazy stonewash. It's an interesting looking stonewash. I quite like it. This thing is a kind of harpooned Wardenclyffe blade shape with a modified, so it's got a little bit of belly in there. Yeah. It is made for VDK Knives, which is a custom maker, who you don't really hear about very often, because you probably haven't seen this thing other than maybe my channel. Let's be honest, these things are not out there too much, and there's not too many people talking about them. At least not currently. I don't know if there was when they first came out. I don't even know when they first came out, to be completely honest. I stumbled upon it and said, what the heck? Actually, no. I stumbled upon it, said, that's a little bit too expensive for what it is. And then I came upon it on Blade Binge for like $150 off and was saying, yeah, no, there's no way in hell I'm not doing that. So, long rambling story of events short, I've got it. These are produced by VDK Knives by We Knives. So the quality is definitely there. And honestly, this is a knife that when I had it in hand did not immediately jump out at me and say, this is made by We Knives. It's really good, but there are certain things about it that just don't quite strike me as We Knives. But at the same time, they definitely didn't feel like Best Tech, and it definitely didn't really feel like Riot. So, interesting to note, but it is definitely We Knives. It's a big boy. Sharpened and plunge grind is, you could say it's not good, but at the same time, it drops. There's very little actual dropping plunge grind, and the blade is there to come all the way back. Clearly, they wanted to maximize blade length. You can cut in the sharpening choil, and it would probably just take up that entire area from about here to here. So most of the plunge grind would just be basically gone. So for what little plunge it has, sure, it could be better, but it's also a flipper tab knife, so the stopping pin is up in front of the flipper tab, which means you have no trouble cutting in a choil. The action is, now that it is not completely weirdly dry in there, absolutely amazing. It is a pretty decent chunk of steel. In fact, again, this is not my specs yet. I'm doing a lot of specs, but I feel it warrants it here. 160 thousandths on the blade stock, which is considerably thicker than most Wii's. Wii does not tend to do that thickness. So, yeah, it's an OEM knife. They can do whatever they want, but it just didn't immediately jump out at me as Wii. Behind the edge, it is reasonably thin, actually, despite the fact that the plunge, not the plunge, the actual grind is pretty low. It's kind of like a saber grind kind of going on here. It drops down to a reasonably thin edge. Definitely usable, and definitely not terrible for how thick the actual blade stock is. It does get a little bit thick quickly, but it is what it is, right? The pocket clip itself is not deep carry, but it really, like, for as thick and tall as this knife is, because it's tall. It's taller, in fact, than a... Where are you? Never cooperating when I want you to. It is, in fact, slightly taller, maybe, than a PM2? Yeah, I think at the absolute apex, you'd have to take, like, this part of the PM2 and this part of the PM2 and put them together to get the approximate height. It's a tall knife. Yet for all of that, what actually sticks out of the pocket is pretty minimal, because it does go reasonably deep carry. It's not the tallest clip in the world, and it's got it's strong retention, but it's got really good flex. So it does work. It's just a little tricky in some of the thick bands. Getting it in and out of the pocket is actually not too bad. You have this lanyard hole, which actually provides a little tiny bit of grip because it's kind of like sharp almost. It's not too bad to get it in and out of the pocket. It's just not. Reasonable depth, pretty nice. A little bit of gear, I guess that's just jimping on the backspacer. There is a lanyard hole. The actual... pardon me. The actual pieces holding this thing together, there are screws underneath, but the primary is T8. So that's mostly what you're going to have to interface with. I have had this apart. It is actually not milled out on the inside. There's no weight reduction in there. Right? The pockets are the weight reduction with the carbon fiber. So, is what it is there. They're reasonably deep. You can kind of see how deep they are right there. So maybe there was no reason for it. It's a big, kind of chunky knife, but you're getting 4 inches of blade with a lot of steel here. So, it's going to be on the heavier side maybe for some people, but you're also getting a lot of knife. There is nothing on the blade. Nada. Nothing at all. In fact, there's no labels, markings, logos, or anything anywhere on this thing. So it is just sort of very neutral. The shred carbon fiber, which is typically what I don't like. I'm not a fan of shred carbon fiber on the whole. Yeah, it looks great. It's wonderful. In fact, it's some of the best shred carbon fiber I've seen. This side has no void. This side, it has, I think, like 1, and that may just be a gouge. 2, I think I counted them in the full review. I think there's only like 3 actual voids in this thing. There's a little bit of, I guess. Oh, that is a void. So there's 1, 2. Looks like 3, 4 pinpoint voids, maybe, in there. And they're like pinhead, and 1 actual kind of... Actually, no, that's not even a void. There's no indent there. I thought it was. That looks like it is, but it's doesn't appear to actually be... that looks like a scuff. Okay. Either way, it's a lot better than most shred carbon fiber. You get a lot of stuff in there. Lock bar access could be a little bit better, I admit, where it's not pronounced or anything like that, and you kind of have to come from a diagonal. But they bolted it out nicely, and with the reasonably thick blade stock, it is pretty easy to disengage. Super ergonomic, super comfortable in the hand, honestly. It's got some contouring. I guess that's just the carbon fiber that's contoured, honestly. That's a nice way to get around that, isn't it? It's really quite comfortable. The clip, I mean, you feel it in the sense that it's, you're pressing against a clip, but it feels like part of the knife. It's super comfortable, super ergonomic, super, honestly, usable. Tip access, it's really a good sort of shaped blade, the VDK Vice here. There's nothing bad about this. In fact, it's really quite good, even for the shred carbon fiber, which I don't like. The only problem with this thing is it is a $400 knife. It is. Kind of understandable in the sense that it is an OEM knife by We. I mean, a lot of times you get those OEM knives with that aren't just that have, well, you know, this much material and this much carbon fiber and everything. Yeah, $375 is kind of normally where it is. This one's, like I said, about a $400 knife. It's did I say 300? I think I said 400, but whatever. It's $400 knife, $398. It's not unreasonable, but it is a bit high. I will say that I have seen it on sale once for around, I think it was $350, which was totally more in line with what I think it should be. But again, I got mine off of Blade Bin for like $250, $275 or something like that. Yeah, I think it was $275. Totally, undeniably worthwhile there. Centered, no play, really high quality, really kind of interesting piece that just is different than a lot of things you see. And honestly, I didn't hear or see a lot of people talking about these things whenever they came out. So, fun to see something different. I'm going to end things here with that. Just a quick overview, which is the summary. And say thank you for watching. Again, consider liking and subscribing. But more importantly, once again, continue or start having a good day. I'll see you guys later. I'm out.